Hello, everyone. Welcome to A Bit of Advice. Dennis Normella started this show a while back, a few months ago, and he has now over 100,000 likes on his Facebook page for A Bit of Advice. And today we'll be speaking with Dave Daley, the Monster Motivator. So we'll be getting to know a little bit more about him and his story and his entrepreneur path that he has been taking, and how he overcome a lot of fears to get where he is at. So, Dave, if you could introduce yourself, I will let you introduce yourself.
You got, hey, Josh, thanks so much for having me on. I'm excited. I'm always love to share, my journey, because it so many people can relate to it. And this is what I do, and this is what I love to do.
Awesome. So, tell us how did your journey begin? I know that you had a wreck, correct? Like you had a motorcycle wreck, and it really opened your eyes. So tell us about that story.
Yeah, it started a little bit before that, but my very first business that I had, I was at a point where
it really opened your eyes. So tell us about that.
I actually wanted to sell. I wanted to sell the business. I was about 4 years in, and I was hitting those fear barriers, that, well, what if you can't do this again? What if, because things were going really well, what if you fail at the next thing you do? And, growing up, I was told I wasn't supposed to win. I was left back in the second grade, diagnosed with ADD, said I had a learning disorder, never graduated high school. At 19, I'm sitting in a jail cell looking at 8 to 10 years if things don't go my way.
Man.
So I was told, because I couldn't learn in that cookie cutter mode, that I'm not supposed to win. So those stories started to come back, even though I was winning. And I got to a point where I was just starting to get confused and scared, and that's a bad combination. So I took a weekend away with my wife at the time up in Vermont. Long story short, lost control of my motorcycle, I was in a back road and hit a boulder, and intensive care for about 4 days, broke everything on my right side, punctured a lung. When I came to and started to heal, I realized that was one of life's, I call it life's boot camps, and you're either going to figure out how to get through that boot camp, or you're going to crumble.
Right.
And that was life's way of saying, you know what, tomorrow's not guaranteed, and you're either going to do it or you're not. And interesting, once I got past that point, once I made friends with that thought process, that paradigm, those fear barriers never stopped me from then on. So what happened, within a year, I went up selling my business, started a second business, built that with a business partner from 2000 to 2007, sold that, came out here to San Diego, built a sports nutrition store, sold that. Now I have multiple businesses again. So that once life gave me that test, and that fear barrier never hit again.
That is awesome, man. That's a great story.
Thanks, man.
So have you wrote a book yet about it, or?
Yeah, I have a book. It's called Knock Out Fear in the First Round, and it just pretty much goes through my life experiences, my take on life, and my take on how to get through those fear barriers. Because at the end of the day, I actually, it's called Knock Out Fear in the First Round, but if I had to do it all over again, I'd retitle it.
What would you call it?
Fearless is bullshit. And here's what I mean. We're conditioned to think, when you grow, especially as guys, boys, if you feel fear, there's something wrong, right? And the whole point is being fearless. But at the end of the day, that's the wrong paradigm to take, because fear is a feeling, just like anger, just like love. It's how do you work with it? How do you manage it? That's really the key. And my definition is, you want to become courageous, because courageous means that you face that fear anyway.
Yeah. That is really touching, because I look at you and I would never think that you had any fear inside of you. I mean, you look like you could just take anybody that walked up to you, man. You look so strong and mean, and then you talk, and it's like, No, he's pretty cool, man.
Well, you know, it's funny.
Tie me up to a poster.
You know something? It's funny. I used to hear this at my sports nutrition store because I'd wear a tank top and, you know, if it was nice out or a cut-off shirt.
Right.
And I'd hear this all the time is people would come in and they'd be like, so-and-so told me to ask for Dave. I go, yeah, I'm Dave. And they just look and they look around. And after about a few minutes, we go through the products and they go, God, you're so much nicer than we thought. I said, I hear that
this
all
can
the
be
time.
deceiving, huh? That's what you tell them. Well, so along with your journey, what would you say would be some good advice? You know, because you said you sold a few companies and you ran a few companies. So what would be your advice to entrepreneurs coming up, like the things that you've learned that didn't work? You know, for you, the reason why they failed, the reason why you had to end up, you know, selling. And that's not always a downslide. That's actually could be a really good thing when you sell a company.
Absolutely. And for me, it was both ends, right? Is the reason I'm here and the reason that I know so many people in this inland empire is because I had a business that failed. And when I'm going to do air quotes, fail, it's what is your definition? And I always say, at the end of the day, understand that fear is going to happen. Those fear barriers are going to creep in. It's what are you going to do about it? And life is all about perspective. You know, I wrote a book, an ebook, back in 2012. It's called The Monster Under the Bed. Now you're 10 years old. You're in your room. The lights are out. It's pitch dark. And you hear this sound. And you know for sure it's a big, green, hairy monster ready to come out and eat you. Right now, we've all been there, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, if you haven't, you're lying.
No,
I was there just last week.
I'm thinking like, man, I actually remember this time. Like you're sitting here and describing it, and I'm like, I remember exactly where I was at. My bed moved and everything. You know, like,
and
I all relate to that.
I tell people, I say, you know, if you don't admit you've been there, you're lying.
Oh yeah.
And I was there last week. But so. That monster's under the bed. You know for sure what that is, right? It's a big green hairy monster. It's ready to come out from under that bed and eat you alive. You're shaking underneath those covers until an adult comes in, turns on the lights. You look under the bed, and what is it? There's no monster.
It was all in your mind.
There's no monster. It's an illusion. So at the end of the day, when you feel those fear barriers creeping in, what if? What are they going to say? What happens if this doesn't happen? What happens if that doesn't happen? It's meeting that fear, facing that fear, so it will eventually disappear.
That makes
sense. And that's the absolute truth. And you know, we can list a million fear barriers: the fear of the unknown, the fear of the darkness, the fear of what if, the fear of success, the fear of failure. But what I believe is the most devastating, stifling fear that we all have somewhere in our life, and most people take it to their grave, unfortunately, is the fear of what other people think.
That is so true.
It's the fear of what other people think. And at the end of the day, you know what I tell you? I say to people is, we're human beings. We're going to judge no matter what. I do motivational speaking all over the country. Look at me. As soon as I walk into a room, I'm judged, right? Your only job is to make them accurate.
That's funny. So we got a question here from Brittany, and she says, "What's up, Dave? Love the book. What's your favorite way to break through fear?"
Oh, meeting it head on, crushing right through it.
Like it ain't nothing.
Well, meeting it head on and understanding what it is, right? And understanding that you have, in order to get better, you have to identify where the issue is. So identifying your fear barrier is absolutely number one. Is it at this moment in time the fear of what other people think? The fear of what your family's going to say? The fear of what your friends are going to say? The fear of what your peers are going to say? Or is it simply the fear of failure? Are you afraid to fail? Or the one that is like that commando in the woods, you know, hiding in the bushes that you can't identify, is the fear of success. Here's what I mean by that. My definition of the fear of success is, and a lot of people have they just can't identify it, is now you're moving forward. You're growing and you're expanding. You want to take your life to another level. Well, you know what life says? Okay, if that's what you want to do, now here's what you need to, this is who you need to become. And these are the new responsibilities
right.
you need to take on. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
I've had that same fear recently because I just started my own business. And I've had that. I got overwhelmed with business all at one time, and I was like, man, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like, I might need to hire new guys. I started thinking about this, and I started freaking me out. My wife said, hold on, just slow down. She was like, just take in as much work to keep you busy. You know, don't try to overdo it right now. You know, you're just getting started and everything, so just take it easy. You know, because it's gonna be way too much stressful. But I had that fear. I've all the fears that you're describing. That's why I say all this stuff's touching home to me because it's almost like you don't know what I've been through this week, and I don't know what you've been through this week. But I feel like you're speaking to me and telling me things that I need to hear. You know, and that's very helpful because fear can stop you from doing a lot of things. Just like, for instance, I went and knocked on somebody's door. You know, I went and knocked on, and I said, hey, I'll fix your screen for $10. Your screen looks tore up. Simple job, you know. But it turned out to be an $800 job because they got their screen fixed. Well, now it don't match. Now they want all the screens fixed. Oh, well, now I want solar screens. You know, so if I would have never, and I was scared to even go out and knock on somebody's door thinking that I was going to get rejected. Or what are they going to think about me? I'm from Alabama. I got an accent, you know. What are they going to think about me? Are they going to, you know, think I'm out here trying to, you know, do the wrong thing? And so all that crosses your mind, but I went out there and did it anyways and faced it right head on, and it paid off. And now I have a customer for probably the next 10 years.
And yeah, and it sounded like it paid off 8 times the amount,
exactly.
Right? And who would have ever thought?
Never would have thought it.
But here's what people have to understand. Life always gives you the choice, right? You could have said, you know what, this is a $10 job. I'm from Alabama. They're not even going to understand what I'm saying. And I'm going to leave, right?
Yeah.
And I'm from Jersey.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
When I have my sports nutrition store, I tell the story all the time. I had a lady come in with her 2 young daughters. She's from Orange County, and she said, what protein should I take? I said, you want to take this, this, and this. Make sure you do it in water. She goes, what? I said, make sure you do it in water. She goes, well, her daughter goes, Mom, he means water. So there you go, man. There you go.
That's funny. Yeah, the accent sometimes can mess you up, and sometimes they can help you because sometimes they catch that as a charm, you know.
Well, but here's the deal, man. Authenticity is the commodity. So when you're real, that energy is there, right? Just like if you walk into a room and you meet somebody and you think they're full of it, what happens, man? You can't run fast enough.
Oh, I know.
But when you're real, that's the commodity.
Talking for 3 or 4 hours.
That's the commodity. Yeah. My last talk I did was in Boston, and it was a group of IT people. Uh-huh. And the lady, the event planner, when she hired me, she says, we need something edgy and fresh, and I want to just blow their doors off. I said, well, let's do this Monster Motivator style. So I went out to Boston, walked in the room. They introduced me. Now, these are all techie IT guys, right? Yeah. And they're just looking. and the first thing I said is, hey, I just want to tell so-and-so, the event planner, I just want to acknowledge her for having the courage to bring the Monster Motivator out to this event. And, you know, it was a big, you know, and it just took all the tension away, man, because you're at the end of the day, I always tell people the greatest compliment I could ever ask for in life is he was real. Yeah.
Oh, that's amen to that. That's an amen to that, man. I know I try to keep that in mind. I also make music too, and I keep that in mind, man. I always try to be real with my lyrics and make sure that everything, I'll even go back and listen to it a few times and be like, okay, all that makes sense, you know, and just be 100% me, no matter what that means, because there's somebody out there like you. There's somebody out there that feels the way you feel, you know, and sometimes if you're able to just let them know, and just like through this, like, you know, us talking, somebody's going to be able to relate to my side and your side, you know, and then they're like, oh, man, that I needed to know that advice, you know, I needed to, you know, it's really helpful. But if you don't listen, then you can't hear it, you know, and so you can't keep growing. You can't keep being motivated. So I've seen you do a lot of events. What can you say as some advice to being able to get up and speak to people? Because I know that's like the number one fear from what I've heard is public speaking.
Yeah.
And it doesn't so much bother me because I've had to get in front on stage and stuff, but I know that a lot of people have that trouble. And sometimes it's still in the back of my head, you know, public speaking.
Well, again, it goes back to that number one fear, what other people think, right? What are they going to think about me? What are they going to say? Am I going to do this right? Am I going to do that right? And I always say, just come from the heart. Come from the heart, keep it real, and just let it flow, and understand that it's not about you, right? It's about them. Just give them the value that you have, and focus on that instead of focusing on everyone else, on what they think, what they're going to say to their family when they get home, all this other crazy nonsense that stops you from being who you are. And it's interesting because as soon as somebody gets into that steps on that stage or stands up at their networking meeting to introduce themselves, they freeze. But as soon as they sit down and it's this, and they're having a cup of coffee or a cocktail, they're free as a bird. So it's just that paradigm shift. It's understanding that if you truly believe in what you're sharing, just come from the heart.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's really good.
And it takes all the pressure off.
So we want to tell everybody hello. We have a lot of viewers right now. We just want to thank you for listening. If you have any questions for Dave, feel free to ask him. We'll ask him as we go. So we know that you're a health expert. So now we're going to jump on to this train. So tell me what's some really good advice on food these days, eating out on fast food and all that. What is your take on fast food and food that the normal human being nowadays eats?
Well, listen, I mean, there's so many, with the mass production, there's so many preservatives and so many just toxic things in food that it's hard. It's not easy. It's hard to decipher through all that. But at the end of the day, it just takes a plan and some dedication, just like it does to build and create a successful business. Right? The same thing to get into shape or stay healthy. It takes a plan and dedication and follow through. It's the same. Life seems to have the same ingredients, just a different recipe for whatever it is you're going after. So if you're going after better health, if you're trying to lean out, if you're trying to lose weight, it's the same recipe. It's a game plan and it's a follow through. It's a game plan and it's a follow through, and you're going to be tweaking it along the way.
Right.
Just like a business.
So what do you think about gluten?
It's interesting because there's been so much probably in the last 30 years that have been added and thrown into our food supply that we're not even aware of, that, people are like blown away, like why do I have gluten issues now? And I didn't have them when I was younger. Why do I have allergies now? Exactly. Why do I have allergies now? Right? I mean, I grew up in Jersey. I grew up eating fresh fruit. And at 19 years old, 20 years old, I ate an apple and it closed my throat. I can't eat a raw apple now. It'll close my throat. But I can eat cooked apples. So I think it's just a matter of educating yourself, right, understanding what your goals are, and then just moving forward and being diligent. And, when I had my sports nutrition store, I used to tell people all the time, I can give you the best workout for your goal. I can give you the best meal plan for your goal. But unless you learn how to turn that into a lifestyle, it's not long term.
Right.
It's that dirty 4-letter word, diet.
Yeah.
That's only temporary. It's got to be a lifestyle change. And that's where a lot of people fall down. And quite honestly, a lot of people aren't willing to put the work in.
True that. So what do you suggest to people that are not really overweight, but kind of like my size, and somebody that would really need to, is it crucial for somebody my size to still diet and still try to eat?
Well, it all depends on your goal, mm-hmm, goals. It depends on where you're at now, depends on your age. So there's no like blanket answer. Mm-hmm. It all depends on the individual. Just when I have my sports nutrition store, we're going to talk about keeping it real, right?
Right.
One of the things that helped me build that to a successful store, I bought it in 2000 at the end of 2008, and it was a struggling store. I came out here, didn't know anybody from New Jersey, bought that store, and within a year and a half, we were tripling the numbers. Wow. And by 2012, it made enough sense in equity to flip that store now, right? So, but let me go back a little bit. Some of the things that separated us from the masses is every time that you walked in, you got acknowledged. Every time you left, you got acknowledged. And it got to a point where so it was Super Bowl Sunday. My team was playing. I was a Steelers fan. I was black and gold right down to the soul. And I'm looking at the clock, and we were only going to be there for a half a day. I'm working the store, and a guy comes in at like 11:30, and he's got a list in front of him, and he's got 8 products on that list. And he says, "Hey, where can I get? My trainer told me to come here to talk to you, and these are the products I need." So I look at the list, and I said, "Well, what's your goal?" And he started to tell me his goal. I said, "Well, to be honest with you, these 4 bottom products, they're going to move you in the wrong direction. You actually don't need those. You only need these 4 products right here." He said, "Really?" I said, "Yeah." Now, if I would have, all I had to do was load up the counter, and he would have paid and bought whatever on that list. But it wasn't conducive for his goals.
Right.
So that point on, not only did I get repeat business from him, he was so blown away that he brought more people in than I could ever imagine because I kept it real.
Right.
Right. And at the end of the day, people would come in all the time. They go, "How do I lose weight? What do I need to do?" I don't know. What are your goals? Where are you at? What are you willing to do?
Right. Yeah, how far are you willing to take it? Because it's all about self-discipline at the end of the day.
Right.
I mean, because you got to be self-disciplined enough to have somebody motivate you, honestly. Because
think about this. You're starting a business.
Right.
You can sit and put the greatest business plan together that anybody's ever seen. Right.
Right.
But if you don't execute,
there's nothing there.
What's it mean?
Yeah, it means nothing. It was just an idea.
What's it mean?
Yeah. And you won't ever continue to grow in your life. You know, it's kind of, I was just talking to my little cousin, man. He come here from Alabama. He just graduated, 18 years old, graduated high school, didn't know what he wants to do, you know. So I told him, I said, "Come out here to California." Never been away from Alabama. So he's like, this is a whole nother country. You know?
Right.
But, you know, that's what I was telling him. I said, "Man, you can do anything you put your mind to. If you want to go out and start your own business or whatever, now's the time to do it. If you're going to go to school, now's the time to do it. You know, don't wait and go and like party and do all this and figure out, you know, who you are. Like, figure out who you are as you go. Mm-hmm. Because before you know it, in 10 years, you'll look back and be like, wow, look what I did, you know." And that's what I was just telling him. I said, "Man," I said, "just think about it. I'm 10 years older than him almost, you know. I'm 27 years old." And I told him, I said, "But I stayed with 3 jobs working all the way through high school and went to college and, you know, got a job with what I was doing in college and got all the way up to a Ford dealership. You know, we're painting cars at Ford dealership. And then I moved here." So, and that's what I told him. I said, "But I always kept going. No matter what changed in my life, I adjusted and I adapted, and I tried to make sure I made the best decision for my life, because if you don't push that drive and all that, there's no telling where you're going to be, because it's so harder to climb out of that hole than it is to dig it. Because you will never get out of that hole sometimes. And some people never get out of the hole. And that's what I was telling them. You just got to be careful, you know, because you might dig a hole that you can't get out of, you know. And so I'm really proud of him, man. He come out here and he's working his butt off. He passed out right now, asleep. He was going to come up here and meet you and everything. And he's like, "Man, I'm so tired, I can't." But, you know, it's kind of like what you're saying. You got to want to do it. You got to, you know, what's your goal, you know? And that's so true how you do that. And it is keeping it real, because you're not out to buy this product, buy this product, buy this product, buy this product. No, you're saying, like, how can I help you? You know what I'm saying? Like, how can I help you reach your goals? And that's so important, because a lot of people are not like that. Everybody's all about the money these days because everything's so expensive. And it's very hard to find somebody that has a passion like that.
You know, it's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up, and I share this quite often, is most people are going to ask the same question. How do I get security, right? How do I get security in life? And you know the old saying, there's no guarantees in life, right?
Right.
If you want real, honest-to-God security, bring more value than the other person. Here's what I mean by that. So if you're working for a company and you're bringing so much value that they can't lose you, there's your security. Right. If you own a business and you're bringing so much value to the clients and to the employees, they don't want to lose you. Exactly. If you're bringing more value to a personal relationship than the other person, your security is guaranteed. Yeah. They don't want to lose you.
Exactly.
So if you want security in life, bring more value.
That's very true. That's awesome. So we're getting close to the end of the time, man. I can sit here and talk to you all day. I didn't even realize we were getting that close, you know? So what would you say would be your like golden nugget out of everything up to this point in your life that you've learned? What would be your number one advice to an entrepreneur or somebody out there that really needs some good advice on, like, you know, with their business or on their entrepreneur path?
Do it.
Just do it.
Do it. And here's why I say that. Just do it, because tomorrow's not guaranteed, and this ride, even if you live a full life, is over so quick, right? And you can't get yesterday back.
That's so true.
So go do it.
Do it now.
Stop whining, stop crying, because nobody cares. Get that.
That's so
Understand
true.
that. Nobody cares.
It hurts.
And I'm being,
So
because of my man Dennis, right? I'm being very G-rated right now,
Yeah.
right? So I'm keeping the reins back.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, right, live your life on your terms. That's what I believe success is. Living life on your terms, coming and going as you please, when you want, how you want, with whoever you want. But understand that this ride is very short, and you can't get yesterday back, so go do it.
now, that is
Monster Motivator style,
yeah,
baby.
there you go. That's awesome, man. I love the energy. You can just feel the energy. I know you guys are not here with us, but we can just feel the energy in the room with being here with Dave, man. He's just awesome. So, Dave, tell us how we can reach you and how about your website and everything like that, so that we can have it for the viewers that are watching right now that wanna get motivated, that wanna see about their goals and then things
Awesome.
like that.
Yeah, it's simple. I'm real easy to find. It's Dave Daley, DALEYMM, like monstermotivator.com. And that's Dave Daley MM on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and I'm all over the place. So we're so I'm definitely easy to find.
Oh yeah, and I seen you on YouTube before the show, so I already
Yeah.
knew who you were. Whenever Dennis told me, I was like, oh yeah, I know who he is. He's a cool guy there. I can't wait to meet him. Well, we thank you all for tuning in today, and we hope that you'll join us next week for another guest on A Bit of Advice.